Hi, I'm Mary Catherine, and welcome to my table. If you have been following along with our Thanksgiving meal series, then this video is one you'll want to watch too. This is just kind of our final wrap up. We're going to chat about all of the dishes that we brought to you in this meal, and we're going to talk about which ones you can make ahead of time, which ones you want to make the day of, because we want your meal to be the best that it can be. Some dishes are just better fresh. So let's go ahead and talk about all the different dishes. Now, to start out with, there are a couple of things you will want to do ahead of time. And the first thing is to make your cornbread. And I posted two different cornbread recipes first before we started the rest of the meal series, just because of that fact. Now, you choose which kind of cornbread you want to make. I posted a traditional recipe, a traditional Southern cornbread, and then I also posted one that's my favorite cornbread. Either one of those is going to work really well in dressing, but you need to make it at least one day ahead of time. And then you'll wanna let it sit out to just kind of dry out a little bit before you make the dressing. So you can make the cornbread the day before, but the nice thing about it is you can actually make it a month or 2 ahead of time if you want to, and you can freeze the cornbread, and then when you're ready to make your dressing, just pull it out of the freezer, let it thaw, and then let it sit out in the open air on your countertop overnight at least the day before you make the dressing. So, cornbread, definitely make ahead of time, can be made up to a month or 2 ahead and frozen. So, that's really nice. The next thing that you will probably want to do if you are going to make your own homemade cream of chicken soup, you're going to use it in a few of these recipes. So, if you want to make your homemade version that I've got posted on my website, you'll want to make that ahead of time too, just so you have it ready. It will keep very nicely in your refrigerator for 3 to 4 days. So as you make certain dishes, you will have it there ready to go to and get to use in each recipe as you come to it. So get your soup made 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time, and that'll be great. Then there are a few other dishes that can be made ahead of time as well. And one of those is the mashed potatoes. They're called make ahead mashed potatoes for a reason. You can make them up to 3 days ahead of time, leave them in the fridge, and then just pull them out the day you want to use them and bake them in the oven that day. And they will be piping hot and fresh. They keep really well in the fridge for this length of time. So it's one of those things you can go ahead and just check off your list a little bit early. Another casserole that can be made ahead of time is the broccoli casserole. I've made it up to 2 days ahead of time before and just left it in the refrigerator. I don't put the topping on this dish until the day I'm going to bake it. So just go ahead and put the casserole together, stick it in your fridge, pull it out, then top it and bake it and have it fresh the day you're going to eat it. With the Asian salad that we have prepared with this meal, I would wait to put the salad together until the day I'm going to eat it, but you can go ahead and make your dressing ahead of time too. That dressing will keep in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. So go ahead and make your dressing ahead. And then when you're ready to dress your salad with it, you'll just have to stir it to mix those ingredients back up again pretty well. But make the dressing ahead. It'll keep up to 2 weeks. A couple of the desserts that we featured in this meal are really nice because they can also be made ahead of time. You know, the pumpkin chocolate chip pound cake can be made up to a month ahead of time, and then wrap it really well and put it in freezer tight containers, stick it in your freezer, and for up to a month, it will keep so nicely. In fact, cakes are usually a little bit more moist after they're frozen for anywhere up to a month and then pulled out and thawed. So you can make that cake ahead of time and pull it out of your freezer. You could even go ahead and put the glaze on it ahead of freezing, or you could just wait and glaze it on the day that you're going to serve it. Either way would be fine. But make that pumpkin cake ahead and it'll save you down the road. The other dessert that you can do ahead of time is the pecan pie bars. These were so delicious. And if you remember, this was a new recipe for me to try this year, and we absolutely loved it. And these kept so great in the refrigerator for about 5 days, I think. We shared them with lots of people. We cut them in really small pieces, so we had a lot of pecan pie bars. So we shared them with some people, sent them to some other people, but we had some that we kept at home, and they lasted very nicely for 5 days, and honestly, you could not tell that they were not fresh on the day that we ate them, whether it was day 1 or day 5. They were really good. So you could absolutely make these 2 or 3 days ahead of time and serve them to your guests. Keep them in your refrigerator, but you could serve them that way. We thought they were delicious cold, but you could also let them sit out and just rise to room temperature if you'd like to serve them that way as well. But these were great, and you could definitely make them ahead. Another thing that you can do ahead of time is the dinner roll. The way that I did it, and I showed you this method in the video itself, you can make them 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time. Bake them until they're just almost done, maybe slightly underdone. We're not cutting the cooking time by much at all, the baking time by maybe 1 to 2 minutes. But anyway, go ahead and bake them and then put them in those freezer bags and get all the air out that you can because you want as little of that oxygen to reach the rolls as possible, and they'll stay fresher. Keep them in your freezer 2 to 4 weeks, then pull them out, do just a quick bake of maybe 5 to 7 minutes, which heats them up again, finishes a little bit of browning on the top, and then come in with that butter brushed over them right before you serve them. I love these dinner rolls because they can be done ahead of time, and yet I've served them that way, and nobody has ever known that I did them ahead of time unless I tell them. So you can do that trick too. Now, here are the things that I would make the day of the dinner. One would be the turkey and the dressing. That's 2 different dishes for us because we didn't actually stuff the turkey with the dressing, but we have them as 2 separate dishes, but you almost always eat them together. So the turkey and the dressing, I would absolutely make the day that we're going to eat them. I think turkey is always best fresh, and the same thing is true for your dressing. Another dish that I would absolutely 100% make right before we're going to eat is the macaroni and cheese. It was so good, but one little thing that you may want to know about any dish like a macaroni and cheese that has a pasta and some fats in it, when you make it ahead, if you ever chill it, those fats are going to solidify when they're chilled in the fridge. And then when you try to reheat it, they like to separate away from the pasta. You probably have seen this before in other dishes. So macaroni and cheese is something that I had always tried to make ahead of time because I love being able to have things that I make ahead and then just pop in the oven and bake fresh the day of. But the reason it doesn't work so well with macaroni and cheese is because that separation of the fats after they've solidified when chilled, it just doesn't keep that creamy effect that you want. It separates and then it makes the dish a little bit dry. It just doesn't work great. One thing that you can do if you just must make it ahead of time, when you are ready to reheat it after it's been chilled, add some milk or some cream to it. Stir that into the dish and then reheat. And that extra milk or cream just helps pull the dish all back together, pull those fats back to the pasta, and it will be a lot better that way. So if you have to do this ahead of time, that's a little trick that you can use. But if you can wait and make the macaroni and cheese the day that you're having your dinner, it is always going to be better that way. So that's one little thing about the mac and cheese you may want to know. The sweet potato apple hash is a dish that I think would be best fresh, but it does heat up pretty well again later. So it's one of those, could go either way, but I would always try to make it fresh if I could. And by the way, about that dish, you guys had some of the greatest suggestions of things that could be added to that dish. So just look out because next year I may actually go ahead and try some of your suggestions and kind of rework that dish and come out with a newer, better version of it. I love the simplicity of it just the way that it is. And I came up with it several years ago for that reason. I wanted something simple that was healthier. And so that was a great option. But I loved your suggestions about that dish. So, but anyway, it's one of those, probably make the day of, but you can reheat it within a day or two, and it's still pretty good. And then the final dish in our series was the apple crisp. That is one that I really love it the day that you make it. I love it when it is still a little bit warm, but it's cool just enough because the topping, the crisp part of the apple crisp, tends to get crispier the more that it sits and cools a little bit. So I love eating it when the dish is still slightly warm underneath, but that topping has had time to really crisp up good. That is the perfect time to eat apple crisp. So if you could bake it just maybe an hour or so before you're gonna sit down to dinner, then by the time you get to dessert, it's probably gonna be perfect. You can eat it the next day, but with apple crisp, the moisture of that bottom layer of the apples really kind of tends to seep into the top crispy part, and it's hard to keep it as crisp as it was on day 1. So, I really prefer it on the first day. So that's one of those dishes to keep that in mind about. And so that wraps it up for the meal that we actually come up with for our Thanksgiving meal series this year. But I do have several other meals on my website at marycatherinestable.com, and we've had videos for them here on YouTube as well. And so if you wanted to substitute something else for one of these dishes, maybe you have some of your own favorites that you like to do, but a few other things that our family likes at certain holidays, that we've already come out with, I would recommend highly the baked pineapple. That has become one of our family's favorites. We really love that. If you wanted a different kind of salad, we have the broccoli salad on our website and on YouTube. That's a great recipe too if you wanted to do something different than the Asian salad that we had, and maybe you weren't gonna make a broccoli casserole. That'd be a great way to bring broccoli into the meal. And then the classic sweet potato casserole. On my website, I called it Miss Leah's sweet potato casserole, I think, because she is the lady that I got the recipe from years ago, and that has been my favorite sweet potato casserole ever since then. And so, of course, we love that at Thanksgiving, and you may wanna do a sweet potato casserole rather than the sweet potato apple hash. A couple others that we have is a squash casserole that's really good. We also have green beans almondine. That's another one of those dishes. It's not a casserole. It's kind of a lighter way to bring a vegetable into the meal, and it stays really nice and green and pretty in the green beans almondine dish. So that is a great holiday recipe as well, or anytime. And then we have a couple other desserts that you may want. They're really great fall desserts. We have that pumpkin crunch cake, and a lot of you joined our channel because you saw the pumpkin crunch cake. So I know most of you probably already know about that. It's obviously a great Thanksgiving dessert. And then we also have apple dumplings. That's a quick, simple, and easy dessert. And if you don't think that you're much of a baker, if you don't bake often and you don't really enjoy it, that is just a quick and easy dessert. And it's always delicious. It's a little bit different, but it's one of our favorites too. We have a whole lot of desserts on our website at marycatherinestable.com. So if you need some more dessert ideas, just go there and take a look around. There's plenty to choose from. That is our Thanksgiving meal series for 2025. It has really been fun. It's been a lot of work to put it all together in this length of time, but it's really been fun, and I hope it's been helpful to you. I love setting a pretty table, and we've shown you some shots of the table. We're about to have our Thanksgiving with our family a couple weeks early. My sister's in town. She's the one that gave us the pecan pie bar recipe. So anyway, my sister is in town, and some other things that are going on Thanksgiving week just make it a really good time for us to go ahead and do it. So I've got my table set. I've just got the final stages of putting all the food together for our meal later today. But I wanted to sit down and just talk with you a little bit about this series. And let me encourage you, if you've never hosted Thanksgiving before, don't be intimidated by it. We tried to make things easy on you. And then don't be intimidated by whatever you have to set at your table. A nice table setting I love a pretty table setting, and I love doing that. I want you to host things with your style. Bring people into your home, family and friends, make them feel welcome, make your table whatever is your style. If you use paper plates, that's okay. If you have everyday dishes, that's fine. If you have nice china that you want to pull out and sit at the table, that's great too. But the point is, get together with the people that mean the most to you. Spend some time with them, let people know how much you care, and just put some effort into making them feel welcome in your home. That's what it's all about. So I hope this inspires you. I hope it gives you the confidence to do it because I don't think I'm doing anything that you can't do. Granted, I've gotten better at all of this through the years and I have a lot of experience now. I haven't always been able to do all of this, but I'm at the point now where I can. And so I hope whatever stage you're in, you just do the best you can with what you have. And that will be great. And it will be enough. So happy Thanksgiving from me and from Darren here at Mary Catherine's Table.